Hey guys, Manic Mercurian here, and in this video we are going to start part 3 of my Planetary Rulerships series. And in part 2 we talked about what a dispositor is. So naturally in part 3 we're going to cover what a final dispositor is. And so let's just begin. So building off of the themes we explored in the previous videos, we can now understand that each and every planet in a chart is either in domicile or is ruled over by another planet. Exploring the many planetary rulerships of a chart can give you an idea of which planets and the themes that they represent influence or control which other planets or placements. Some planetary domiciles may start to form a chain of command, forming an astrological hierarchy of sorts. The planets in domicile or at the tops of the hierarchy are called final dispositors. So let's see an example. So here I've shown an example natal chart, and then this is sort of the hierarchy of the planetary rulerships. And so we can sort of start, let's start from the bottom actually. So if you look at the ascendant is in Aquarius. And so we're going to use some sort of traditional rulerships here. So ascendant is in Aquarius. Which planet is ruling over the ascendant in this case? Saturn is, because Saturn rules Aquarius. And with the ascendant in particular, the ruling planet of the ascendant is the chart ruler. So that has some extra significance. And I can talk more about that in a different video. It really deserves its own video. But in this example, the ascendant is ruled by Saturn. Since the ascendant is in Aquarius, Saturn rules Aquarius. Saturn is the dispositor. However, Saturn is not a final dispositor because it's in a sign which it does not rule. Saturn is in Sagittarius, therefore Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter rules over Saturn. And so you can sort of start to go up the chain in command from the ascendant to Saturn to Jupiter. Even Jupiter isn't in a sign in which it rules. Jupiter is in Taurus. It's at the very last degree of Taurus. And so Jupiter is ruled by Venus. So is Venus a final dispositor? Well, it's actually a little bit tricky. So Venus is not in a sign of its domicile. Venus is in Gemini. So Mercury is the ruler. Mercury is also not in a sign of its domicile. It's in Cancer. So therefore Mercury is ruled by the moon. But then moon is in Libra, which is ruled by Venus. So now we're going in a circle or a triangle. Moon is ruled by Venus. Venus is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is ruled by the moon. Moon is ruled by Venus. And so all three of them, because they sort of rule each other in this sort of love triangle or this triangle chain of command, all three become final dispositors. And that is sort of rare to have in a chart. Something more common would be mutual reception. So when two planets are in each other's sign of domicile, they both qualify as final dispositors, and that is called mutual reception, since each of the energies involved are mutually receptive to one another. And this is an example that's not in this chart, but let's say you have Mars in Taurus and Venus in Aries, hypothetically. So in that example, Venus would be ruled by Mars, but then Mars would be ruled by Venus. They would be in each other's sign of domicile, therefore they would be in mutual reception. So that would mean that they're in agreement, they're sort of strengthening each other. Even if they don't have a strong aspect, they still are agreeing with each other. They're ruled by each other, they're receptive, they're open. They're almost mixing their energies a little bit. Anyway, back to this chart. So yeah, you can sort of follow from the bottom from, the ascendant, or from Neptune for that matter, is all the way at the bottom. Neptune is in Capricorn, therefore ruled by Saturn. Saturn's ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter's ruled by Venus. And then Venus is part of this sort of odd three-way chain. You can look at the sun. That's a more direct link, tier 2. Sun is in Cancer, therefore it's ruled by the moon. Sun is at the very end of Cancer, but it's still in Cancer. And then you can also look at these other planets. So let's look at Pluto. Pluto is in Scorpio. Most modern astrologers would agree that Pluto rules Scorpio. So in that case, it is a final dispositor. But there are no other planets in Scorpio. And so Pluto it's a final dispositor, but it's not ruling over any other planets. It's not an influencer in this chart. It's just sort of autonomous. Same with Mars for that example. And depending on how you do this, you could consider Mars being a final dispositor over Pluto. depending on how you do this exactly, there's different ways of doing things in astrology. If you say Pluto is the sole ruler of Scorpio, then it's its own final dispositor. You could also say Mars rules over Pluto. It's up to you. You can try both and see what works for you. But Mars, generally speaking, is sort of also autonomous. It's in domicile, so it's a final dispositor, but it's not really ruling over much here. It's just kind of alone. And so looking at the final dispositors, it's just sort of different way of looking at a chart and looking at these planetary influences. So, looking at this natal chart, you might not realize that Jupiter is actually ruling over a lot of this chart. Same with Venus, for that matter. Venus, look at this whole tree that Venus rules over. So Venus actually plays a very important role in this chart. Not only ruling the moon, which is a luminary, it's a very important part of a birth chart, but also ruling over Jupiter, and then second or third hand, it's ruling over the midheaven, Saturn, Uranus, ascendant, and Neptune. So this is just sort of a different way of looking at a chart that kind of can allow you to see some of these other patterns. Even Saturn, for instance, is a chart ruler, and it's ruling over Neptune. Saturn is actually, even though it's not in domicile, it's actually kind of an influencer to some extent, or it's a strong planet here. So final dispositors, they're just extra strong planets. Their energies influence these other placements, if that makes sense. So this person will have, judging by the final dispositors, this person has Venus, Moon, and Mercury most, strong. Not only are they final dispositors, but they're also ruling over other planets. Especially Venus and the moon, I would say. The moon ruling over the sun. Sun is a big part of the chart, so moon ruling over that means that it's very strong. This person is going to be gracious, and, with the moon and Venus, these are more harmonious energies and more receptive and more open to others, more nurturing, very hospitable personality, friendly, etc. So, you can kind of imagine the traits of the moon and Venus are strengthened here, and Jupiter for that matter as well. I'll just touch on that real quick. So Jupiter, this person might be kind of adventurous, but you have to keep in mind what Jupiter is ruling over. It's not ruling over the sun, moon, or Mercury, or Venus or Mars. So it's not so much ruling over the bulk of the personality. It's ruling the career with Saturn and midheaven. It's ruling over, this person's dreams or beliefs with Uranus and Neptune. It's ruling over this person's identity to some extent, or their image with the ascendant. But most of the bulk of their personality isn't going to be Jupiterian, but there definitely are many aspects of the personality that will be. So this person might have certain sides of them, certain aspects in their personality that are very much prone to being open to the world and wanting to adventure and wanting to gain just different, all kinds of eclectic life experiences that are very physical and very involved, where they can, become wiser. They can gain wisdom or knowledge from firsthand experience. That's what Jupiter is all about. This person might ask like the big questions and want to know these kind of lofty ideas, or learn about abstract or complicated concepts, higher knowledge. All these things come with Jupiter. So this is just, again, it's something that you might not consider looking at the chart, but looking at the final dispositors, it gives you sort of a different view, and it's kind of fun. So I would suggest to just do this with yourself. You can put your chart up and then just kind of draw, which planets rule which other planets, and you can kind of organize it into a chart like this just to see like who's the boss really in your own chart. So hopefully that makes sense. As always, you can comment below or email me at manic.mercurian@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.